So I think we're good to go. Ruth should be joining us again any moment, but I would like to welcome everybody and welcome all of the people listening in, and thank you for joining this session. We're going to be talking about financially forward children and in particular girls. It's International Women's Day week and we really want to have a discussion about why talking about money to girls is super important. There's been much discourse about getting more girls into STEM, and essentially we need to add another M to STEM, an M for money. So we really need girls not only to be thinking about science, technology, engineering, and math, but finance and money topics really are key to empower them for their futures. And maybe I'll just share a couple of facts to get started. The thing that shocked me and that also triggered my work in trying to bring the topic of money to girls was statistics that show that there are pocket money pay gaps, that by the age of 10, girls are basically getting 10 to 30% less than boys. And that just shocked me because it was a demonstration of the fact that no matter what we're trying to fix in the labor market today, if we don't fix those biases as they are formed, they're just going to perpetuate, right? We're still going to see pay gaps for the next generation and the next generation. And knowing also that adult money habits are largely shaped by age 7, and that confidence, and especially confidence in girls, is largely shaped by age 5, it was quite shocking to realize that unless we're going to change the narrative around money, feeling comfortable talking about money, feeling comfortable knowing what a task is worth, and asking for money and negotiating your pay, if we don't give girls a chance to practice that at home, how are they going to get to the labor market with the skills that they're going to need, given that pay gaps are likely not to close for another, call it a couple of 100 years. So that's why, for me, the topic is super close to my heart. So that's why I decided to write children's books on the topic, to make it fun for parents, engaging for the girls. But I'm super keen to talk to the lovely women that we have with us today, because they are all fighters for gender equality in many shapes and forms, all with different experiences and backgrounds. And I'd really like to give them the stage to discuss why do they think raising awareness for empowering girls and including the conversation around money and finance and your worth and negotiating is so important for young girls. So if I may, I'd love to open the floor with a dear friend and person I admire hugely for the work she has done in empowering girls worldwide. Suba, over to you, if you'd be so kind to say a few words about yourself, and we'll probably give it like 2 to 3 minutes to each person. Why is this topic important to you, and what are you doing to raise awareness for girls and girls' empowerment?
Thank you so much, Mara. It's such a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor that you invited me to this wonderful panel. It was such a amplifying the voice of girls. I mean, that's the very thing that we are trying to do, right? I think to myself, I'm Subha Umatevan. I was born in Sri Lanka but raised in Switzerland. I think just coming from a culture where parents, when a girl is born, they start to worry about saving for their marriage. So even that starts with the culture itself. You know, the empowerment for girls just to have their own money is such a strong message. And for me, that was a crucial thing. I mean, I still remember having earned my first pocket money when someone actually gave me 5 francs when I translated something for them when I was 9 or 10 years old. So it has quite a bit of an impact in the upbringing. And I kind of shaped my career towards that. So just most recently, I was the CEO of Plan International Switzerland, an organization that actually empowers girls worldwide, providing them financial education, financial literacy, and most recently, more working with women around promoting social enterprises, and also not only in the early stage, but also later in their lives. It just shows when you empower and provide finances for one woman, you just support an entire family.
Thank you, Suba. Totally agree. And it's amazing to see then the ripple effects, how that, transmits through society and also through generations. Might I hand over to Marika, who has also done a lot of work in the microfinance space, to say a little bit about why empowering girls is also so close to your heart.
Thank you, Mara. It's a pleasure. We met a long time ago at university. This is there where I got the microfinance bug. It never left me. Yes, I believe microfinance is a very strong tool to help women, to empower them, but it's not going to happen unless you have a financial education behind. And I saw this in the career, but then especially when I went in person in Peru with Plan International, we just realized I was there volunteering. I was teaching for an entire week to a group of women and men, but these women, they were older than me. And I thought I'm going to explain very easily what is microcredit and they will know. And I realized they don't know. They don't even know what is an interest rate. They've never been to a bank. They said they were saving their money under the mattress to buy a couple of guinea pigs that will sell to the market. Everyone was selling the same. So they really had no knowledge. And I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'm younger. I come from a privileged country and I'm supposed to teach. So the night I went back to the hotel, I said, okay, reboot everything. Let's start to the basic. And that is where I realized what you, Mara, said, and everyone I'm sure saw it. It's so important to start early, because if you are 35, 40 or something, is already too late in a way. You need to learn so much and it would be so difficult. Having that lesson in the back of my mind, now I'm a mother of 2 girls. So one, she's 2.5, she doesn't, she thinks about eating and voila, we are fine. But the older one, 4.5, she's already starting asking about money. And I was sharing this example the other day. We're talking about, food waste at the table. And I said, you shouldn't get more food than what you can actually eat, because there are some children, they're not as fortunate as you are. So you need to be careful because, we can't waste food and it costs money. And then she's asking me, but mom, why they don't have enough food? I said, because maybe their mothers, their father, they don't have enough money to buy the food. They need to choose. They have to be careful. And she's like, oh, but why? What can we do? And I said, well, what would you do? And I was so proud because she said, mom, in that Piggy digital bank, I have some coins. Maybe I give one for them to buy food for the kids. And I said, that's very sweet. Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm so proud. I said, but one maybe is not enough, because you don't give enough food to as many as we would like. She said, okay, mama, I'm going to give 5. And that day I said, Margot, fine, I'll take 5 from your piggy bank and I'll match the rest. I give the 95 rest, and we donated to Save the Children for the Yemen kids. And then 2 days after, she received the picture with the kids on it. She was holding this picture like so emotional, like, Mama, but who are these kids? And she said, these are the kids you helped. And this is, for me, it was like, okay, now she knows she needs to save. She can choose how to use her saving, and she chose to give it to someone else. And she's 4.5. So it's just the beginning, but now we will continue.
No, that is so wonderful. And it's so heartwarming, because that's exactly my deepest belief, right? Kids have an innate generosity and a sense of equality and fairness. And I don't know where in our school system and capitalistic system that gets lost along the way, but everything that we can do to encourage it to stay alive, and for kids to realize that their money choices are actually impacting other beings on this planet, whether human beings or our nature. I just think it's so important, because I think it is a gift they will take with them for life, that they will have a deep understanding of the impact of their choices. So I would love to ask another wonderful lady who has just managed to join us. I'm thankful that the technology worked. Ruth, would you be so kind to tell us a little bit about all the wonderful work that you are doing also to empower children to engage in the topic of money at a very early age?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the invitation. I come with a banking background, and after kind of almost 30 years, I decided to found a social fintech. It's called FinTune, and we develop a solution for financial literacy for children between the age of 3 years up to 12. Because as the previous speaker told us, I fully agree, because children do have really this curiosity and interest already with some coins and putting it aside, and all these habits that get formed at an early age. It's kind of a benefit they take for the rest of their life. So it's all about kind of teaching them, encouraging them to kind of put the coins away. And actually our solution not only covers the cash money, but also the digital money. So it's a digital piggy bank with the first mobile banking app for children on eye level, so simplified and colors and font, of course, adapted to encourage them at a young age already to save, and then even one day even donate, as we heard before. So it's in our hands, I'd say, as moms, or even also for the dads, of course, to teach them and raise them, or raise already the interest in this young age segment. Before then they turn 12 and start kind of having a prepaid card, all these online shoppings, these habits get formed really in this first kind of a couple of years.
Yeah, that's actually a super interesting point that you raised, Ruth. How do kids relate to money, and how do they relate to digital money at such an early age?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting because, or I mean, the ones who have young children, you probably know it as well. They kind of have the belief that it grows on trees. It's kind of endless because it just comes out of the ATM, or it's unlimited on a credit card. Mm-hmm. But we kind of all have to teach them in a certain age that we first have to earn it and save it before we can spend or even donate. So it's all about also kind of having these discussions with children, and kind of they do have so many wishes, also to prioritize that they, even though we could buy it or pay for all these toys, we should learn them to prioritize and kind of also put back probably some wishes. So it's all about also these discussions between parents and children, and not giving them everything they would like. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's a perfect bridge for me to go over to Hajar, because Hajar has a wonderful 10-year-old little lady, Nada, and, you know, first-hand experience as to what has changed when you've started having more conversations around money with your daughter, and that relationship to money. How does it develop, and what has been your experience that you'd like to share?
So for me, it was an after and before. After Nada gets the smart way to save series, and that was a life changing for me and for her. She was really asking a lot of questions about finance, about equality between boy and girl. Question that was for me, oh wow, that's all I want actually, because she was really curious to know why, boy gets more pocket money, why actually we need to save money, and then she get into me, and pocket money saving was, I don't want to buy this. I prefer to give this to an association for kinder, that they can have the same education as I can have in Switzerland, and starting to discover which association. Then she is actually affiliated to Bourgeoise, to give also healthcare, and really life-changing. So play toys, etc. She didn't buy actually no play toys, and she said, I want to get another book about finance. What was also amazing with the mathematics awareness.
Sorry, just 1 second, Hajar. Could whoever's not talking kindly mute, because we've got a little bit of echo in the line. There we go.
Okay.
Go again. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, Hajar.
Yeah. I was talking about mathematics also, and finance awareness. She get the best mark in mathematics afterward. And this awareness was for me exactly all I want. So actually, she saved money. She get into the bank one day per month with me. She's really aware of all the things about climate change, sustainability, and that's really amazing to see how Nada changed her behavior about finance and money, and she's also changing about the way she wants her career. Before she was, I want to be infirmière, things that are, for all girls. And actually, I want to be a leader. I want to work in banking. I want, that changed the whole things. And what she wants also is having a role model around and asking for those role model, how they get there. What about finance, how they rise their careers. So a lot of beautiful things. So I want to use this stage to thank you, Mara, for this amazing, life-changing series that is really, and small things also. She's doing a working session with her neighbors and friends, talking about money.
That is so sweet.
And that's amazing. Yeah. So
that is so sweet. Look, that is just heartwarming, and I'm so happy, because indeed, I think I've just been blessed with so much positive feedback around the books in general, but really just to see how I get photos from mums who say, my daughter's just asked me to take her to the bank, and I'm like, yes, another little girl who is financially empowered. And for me, that is really so heartwarming, because it's just so important that women really feel comfortable talking about money. And that's maybe my perfect bridge over to Ayla, if I may. Ayla, I know the topic is extremely close to your heart, also looking at it through an entrepreneurial lens of women founders. Why do women not get enough funding, which is a huge problem and that we're all acutely aware of and that needs new solutions. So share with us your thoughts about why the conversations around money and entrepreneurship are so key.
Absolutely, Mara, thanks for that. So just to kind of start off, why do I think that money for girls and financial education for girls is so important? It's because money is freedom, it's because money is power, and it's because money is the potential to change. And so just starting from that very young age, I think it's just super important, as so many of you have said in different ways. It's super important that girls are not developing a fear of money. And my perspective on that, and this is only one of very many, but kind of where I focus is around women as investors, and these girls are the investors of tomorrow, or I really hope that they are. And so I think one thing that really spurred that in me was a talk that I saw with Joelle Tanguy, who was at the time the head of UN Women, and she was just barreling over these statistics, and the one that really stuck out to me was, if you give, for every dollar that a man earns, around sort of, I believe it was 40 cents is actually reinvested in their community, family, education, society. And for every dollar that a woman earns, it's around 90 cents. And so at the very basic level, it's just so incredibly important for young girls, especially, to understand the power of their money, and to embrace that from a young age. And so just to kind of capture that in my background now, I was working with Mara on gender lens investing topics, so it's very, very close to my heart. But my background originally was in venture capital, where I observed that so few of the women that we were seeing pitch, so few of the founders that we were seeing pitch were actually women. But when we did see women, the quality was so exceptionally good. Just so exceptionally good. And so I think there are multiple reasons for that. Certainly structural, women are being held back by societal issues, but I think as well there's a certain perfectionism and a fear of trying that means that essentially as a VC at the moment, you're only seeing the cream of the crop. And so, I left venture capital with extreme frustration. Came to Switzerland, worked on this topic, had a burnout and depression, and realized that a lot of the frustration that was built up inside of me was about this equality topic, and essentially realized that I need to go back to venture capital and change this. So I'm currently working on a fund to actually invest in diversity, because as the statistics say, if you invest in female entrepreneurs, you're going to get a better return on your investment. They're less likely to fail, and contrary to popular belief, they actually exit faster, which is super interesting. So I know that's slightly getting a little bit away from the girls topic, but I think that just explains a little bit where I'm coming from in terms of we need to make sure girls from a very early age are confident with money, and they get into finance and they get into investing, whether it be as a retail investor or whether it be as their career, and make that change that they want to see in the world. So thank you. Now I'll hand it over to Mara.
No, thank you, Ayla. Look, it's so important. Indeed, one thing that I was reflecting on a few months ago was the following. When I grew up and when I was at university, and we're talking 30 years ago, there was not one single discussion about you could become an entrepreneur. It was all about which large corporate are you going to work for. Now, of course, this was the 90s. This was the era of globalization, of multinationals expanding into the four corners of the world. But never was there a conversation about you could run your own business and just go found one and figure out how you're going to do, whatever great things you want to be doing. And I'm actually so encouraged that the generations today really grow up with an entrepreneurial mindset. And precisely that entrepreneurial mindset has got to go hand in hand with good money skills, because the girls need to know how to pitch. They need to know when to pitch. They need to know what kind of capital they can raise, because the statistics show indeed that usually women start out their business with about 53% less capital than men do, and they bootstrap it for far longer, which is precisely to your point, Ayla. By the time they do get in front of venture capitalists, it is the cream of the crop. So
I think one of the suggestions many people give is just ask 10 times more than you would actually dare to ask, yes, right?
I love that, Suba. You speak to my heart, because another very dear friend of mine is an expert in negotiation. And she said also, if you're negotiating your salary, I've not tried this yet, I really should. She said, if you're asking for a figure, when it makes you sick to the stomach to ask for it, it's the right figure. So 10 times more than what you need, I think, is a good benchmark to go by. Thank you. And I'd like to now hand over the word to Sweta, who can tell us a little bit about herself and why she is also very passionate about empowering girls. She has a little boy herself, who I'm sure is going to grow up to be a male ally. Sweta, over to you.
Thank you, Mara. First of all, I feel very honored to be among such accomplished women, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. So I'm Sweta Anosha. I am an IT professional turned writer / journalist turned communication specialist. So yeah, I have multiple profiles, and thankfully because of these profiles, I have experience in learning the pattern which I observed was common among women and girls regarding the finance. And that pattern is that women assume themselves to be too naive to be handling financial matters. And as for me, the biggest factor, the two major factors that affect this pattern is one, the lack of awareness of simplistic resources, like Mara's book and the Roots FinTech. And the second one is absence of contemporary examples and people in the mainstream for girls to connect with. My upbringing was similar to Subha's. I wasted my half of life saving money for my marriage. And then in just one day, poof, it went away. And when during my work as a journalist, I actually realized the impetus of lack of the awareness. So when I was working as a journalist, I would frequently gather data and research my audience regarding their challenge and pain points to create content which is more relevant. And during my research, what I found was majority of women entrepreneurs and working women would complain about wealth management. These were the people who have either recently went through a divorce or separation or entering newly into entrepreneurship. The major problem area was nothing to do with their intelligence. They were very smart, strong, and dynamic. But the hype and jargon created by the industry made it overwhelming for them to wrap their heads around it. And taking this as a lead, I created a column series with the help of an investment expert in our magazine on wealth management and personal finance. The main objective of this series was to demystify the jargon and prove them that wealth management or financial literacy is no rocket science. And without any surprise, it was an instant hit. But again, I would have preferred it was made available during my college days or when I started my career. I would have appreciated it with much more. I would have appreciated it much more because I missed all that information. And just as how Mara and others have detailed on this topic, we need bring this topic on the mainstream. We need to talk about this topic. We need to mention it, and we have to make it as a common conversation topic. And it starts from our home. And especially the starting point is definitely parents. Just like how Nada has gained her financial literacy, if we all parents can do the same thing, the change is, we need not wait 100 years as per that study. The change can come much more quicker. So you may ask, so how can we bring awareness? I'm sorry. So how you may ask, how can we bring this awareness among the children? The one thing which I feel very close to is we need stories. Just how we tell stories to our children about bravery and good manners, we need to tell them stories about savings and investments. We crave for relatability. And
thank you, Sweta.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. And I'm just keeping an eye on the time because I can't believe that our 30 minutes are already over. It's gone way too fast. I would have spoken for hours on this topic. But I want to thank you all. I want to invite everybody to make sure that we actually can bring these conversations to children, encourage many more parents to talk about money to girls. And I invite you all to join the following session, which is all about investing in girls. So as soon as you hop off this one, go straight back to the sessions and click into the next one. And I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for joining this conversation tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mara, thank you, everyone.
Bye.